Welcome to Review Nation. Today I am reviewing Darkthrone's debut album, Soulside Journey. Now, when you think of Darkthrone, you think of black metal. You think that they were the pinnacle band to influence the Norwegian black metal scene. Well, you are right, but before they became one of the biggest bands in black metal, they were a death metal band. They were influenced by bands such as Slayer, Celtic Frost, Venom. This is their debut album and it was a death metal album. And this album is overall comprised of all the inspirations combined into one album, especially with different sounds, elements of thrash metal, death metal, progressive metal. So this album was released on 13th of January 1991 through Peaceville Records. And the overall production on this album is okay in my opinion. It's quite atmospheric, it's quite spacey. The tone of the drumming has a really strong reverb along with Nocturno's vocals. Interesting guitar tone, it's quite swelling and lavish, but you also get some really nice prominent bass moments, and the bass is quite high up in the mix. I can't complain. I can't really complain the overall mixing. It's got a really spacey, dreamy feel, and it's like Nocturno's vocals are really in the distance. It's like he is growling 30 meters away from a microphone. The album kicks off with Cromleash. Now this is a really slow tempo song at first, but then it really builds up along with some really nice drum fills. Nocturno's vocals are very interesting throughout the song. He doesn't have those high shrieks like you usually get from a Darkthrone song. He's got those really low demonic growls throughout this song. I love the tone of the guitars throughout the song that leads onto a soaring guitar solo, incorporating elements of blast beats. The song that leads onto a very interesting sort of bass moment. What I really love is how dynamic this song feels and how finely calibrated this song is as well. It's got a really interesting sort of tone. At times it's quite spacey. There is some weaknesses throughout this song. It's like this song doesn't really flow that well, and at times it can get quite unpredictable. It's unpredictable in a good way, but it's definitely not one of the best songs off the album. It leads on to Sunrise over Locust Mortis. This has a really strong Sabbath inspiration in my opinion, like especially those guitar riffs. Tony Iommi's on this album, those guitar riffs, at times those doomy guitar riffs. I also love the sort of death metal riffs throughout this song. It's another spacey and atmospheric song, at times very proggy elements, especially throughout midway through. It leads on to the self-titled track, Soulside Journey. It's quite brutal, especially the vocals. Vocals got that brutal element, along with the interesting guitar moments. I love the drumming throughout the song, the tight little drum fills, changing signature. A very cohesive song and one of the best songs off the record. And it leads on to Accumulation and Generalization. Now this is an instrumental track. You do get a symphonic choir throughout this song, and I feel it's slightly cheesy in my opinion. Instrumentals on this song are really good as well. It's just the overall symphonic choir that just makes it a little bit cheesy. It doesn't belong there. With such a really interesting tone of the guitars, you don't really need the symphonic choir, especially throughout the Accumulation and Generalization. So that was a really unpredictable moment. I think Nocturno growls now and again throughout this song, but it's a killer song instrumentally, and at times it does sound very progressive. It leads on to Neptune Towers, which is definitely one of the weakest songs off the album. And I do enjoy his vocals throughout the deep growls as well. Very strong death metal growls. It's not a very well focused song. At times it's quite playful. This song just doesn't really gravitate towards me. feel about this half of the album is that these songs do like a bit. It's like you listen to these songs and you sort of forget the melodies and the over-dramatization of Accumulation and Generalization, especially throughout the symphonic choir. You sort of forget those moments. But the second half of this album is a killer with no filler. Leads on the sempiternal reciprocality. This song is fantastic. Just love how brutal this song is. The vocals are intense as anything. Some really nice drawing guitar solos throughout this song with some nice drum fills and tight little ghost notes incorporating elements of those blast beats. I love the cymbal accents. Overall, really beautiful, free-flowing song. I love how prominent the bass is as well. Solid song by Darkthrone. Leads on the Grave of a View. Which is much more slower song, but yet hard-hitting as well. It also stays true to that Darkthrone death metal sound. A symphonic choir which actually matches this song. But yet this song is quite piercing and quite playful, but yet it's also got a catchy riff. Leads on to my favourite song off the album, Iconoclasm Suite's Cappadocia. This song is fucking amazing, especially with the prominent bass lines throughout the introduction. Sounds like something John Mayall would play from Dream Theater. I just love those bass rolls throughout the introduction, and the bass is very prominent throughout the song. I really love the sort of synthy element along with these growls. It's very raw and visceral. Some really nice riffs that incorporate a nice guitar solo that leads on to Novice Silent Whispers. This song is really cool. I just really love the reverby growls Nocturno provides. You're in the dark and you're listening to this song. His vocals, especially when you're listening on headphones, are so damn distant. It feels like your whole body is gonna break into two. But again, some really nice progressive metal elements throughout the song, the overall chord progression, and then it leads on to the Watchtower. It really reminds me of something out of Def Leprosy, especially those guitar riffs. Guitar riffs are really good on this song. It's a really slow tempo song at first, and it really builds up dramatically into a soaring guitar solo. There's some really nice drumming moments. Now, Nocturno's vocals are quite raw in tone. I do love how stylistic this song is as well. Now, you can tell that the second half of the album is all killer with no filler. It leads on to an Eon, which is a very interesting way to end off the album. Basically another instrumental similar to the Accumulation and Generalization. It's a sort of a forgettable song on this album, but it also collects all the sounds that we've heard from the album into one, in my opinion, especially the same melodies. This is a furious, fast-paced song. Some really nice time signatures throughout the song, and again that leads on to some really nice guitar tremolo pickings along with a quick solo. This is a really thrashy sort of song. But overall, Darkthrone Soulside Journey was a huge complete surprise once I heard this actual album, thinking it was going to be black metal, but it was actually death metal, and I was really surprised about that. And you know what, the next album, which was A Blazing Northern Sky, that completely changed the sound, and this is when they became one of the main bands of that Norwegian black metal scene. And if you listen to the first song off A Blaze in the Northern Sky, you can tell they have completely changed the sound from Soulside Journey. But overall, it's a pretty good death metal album, incorporating at times many different sort of genres throughout this particular album. Not to mention at times some really doomy guitars. But this is a really cool album. It really is, and I really did enjoy it. So for this album, Darkthrone Soulside Journey, I will give this a solid 7 out of 10. Must check it out if you like death metal. So basically the next review will be A Blazing Northern Sky. So make sure you subscribe to that. Comment below if you actually heard this album as well, and what you thought about this album. But yeah, 7 out of 10 it deserves. And I will see you in the next one.